right, well, here we are. You asked, I'll deliver it. We have our 15-pound packer here. Just about the only thing I've done is dry it off a bit and cut it out of the package. Still fairly wet, but that doesn't matter much. The first thing I do is right here. You make that cut line. Trim that off, get it out of the way, make this all uniform down the side. And then we round off that corner just a bit. You want it aerodynamic as possible because these little edges right here are just gonna burn up on you. Here you go, buddy. Then we get over here to the decal. That's that hard fat right there you don't want to mess with. You don't want it anywhere near your food because it doesn't render. You can leave this stuff. I don't recommend it, obviously. You can even leave a little bit of this. But this decal does not and will not render. That is inedible. That will ruin your brisket if you do not remove as much as you can. I like to get my thumb in there on the back side of it, and we just work our way down. Don't be afraid to get into the meat a little bit when you're taking this out because there's so much fat inside this cut as it is. You're not going to dry it out if you get into it even like that. I mean, it's no big deal. What you don't want, you can still see how hard that is. You don't want that in your meat, man. You do not want that in your meat. So I make that first cut like I just did on that one and take off the top layer, and then you can kind of see how it starts pulling away. By the way, I'm doing this in one cut. No fancy edits, no anything like that. Just raw, straight from the dome, one shot, like hove. Now, got a little decal still left in there, just a little bit, but it's kind of soft. I'm gonna go ahead and take that out because I'm picky. You're good. Now, see this right here? That is just a little blood blister. You can take it out if you want. It's not going to affect your meat at all. But before I flip this over and get to the other side, what I want to do is try to take off. It's kind of hard to do, and you may not be able to see it that well, but that silver skin, you see that ghost-like texture on some of the front? Your seasoning will not penetrate through that. And my knife needs a little run on the sharpener again, which I have with me, but I think we'll be able to make it work. Cutting with the grain a bit makes it easier. Opposite of what you do when you're slicing, because that was how you get your chewy meat. You can absolutely ruin a perfectly good brisket by not resting it properly and not slicing it properly. I don't care how you cook it. I don't care what grade it is. I don't care if it's A5 Wagyu that you had flown in from the Prince of Dubai. If you do not rest and slice your brisket properly, you will have a bad product, period. Sorry for the awkward silence, but you know, as you can see, this is literally what, my second video. So, you know, we're growing this together. We'll figure it out in time. Rome wasn't built overnight, although it was tore down in one. So, you know, pick and choose your battles, I guess. All right, that's about good enough for me. Spin this around. A little bit right here. That's a little, anything that's more than, I don't know, about 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch thick on this top side without the fat cap, you can pretty much remove, because that fat is going to be fat side down when you're cooking. That's another myth. Beef does not render like the pork. This fat cap, or this myth of, oh, this is going to render down into the beef, that's not what happens. That's not what happens at all. It's there to protect the flat. All the fat that you get is already inside the meat. That's why you buy a higher grade like prime. Now, take this off. Get down into that other piece of decal. Just make a cut line right down there like so. As you can see, that's all gone. Got a little bit of meat right there. There's a little bit of decal left on this other side. Sometimes, if you get a bad one, this decal will run super, super deep in there. See, mine doesn't. I've had it like that before, where you almost get a freaking cave up under here. And if you ever have that situation, take out as much as you can, but don't take it out so much that it folds in on top of itself, because you need that air and seasoning and smoke to get up in there. If those flaps are touching, you're not going to get anything up in there. Right? But overall, like I showed in the first video when I got this brisket, it was pretty clean from the grocery store, which is a nice find, because a lot of times, man, some of these things can be flat out bad. And a lot of times where people will get, oh hell man, I got this 20-pound brisket the other day, it's gonna be good. What you end up doing is you'll get all that crap on the backside. You'll have so much silver skin. You'll have a fat decal here and a fat decal there, and you'll end up cutting 6 pounds off the damn thing. So what you end up doing is you paid for all that when they didn't trim it right from the shop. Now, that side's looking good enough for me. A little bit of decal right here. Flip this dude over. And what we're going to do here is just take off as much of this gelatinous fat, because it's good fat. It really is. You don't want to remove it all. That's where your protection comes from. But what ends up happening, if it's too thick, when you slice your brisket, you'll have that giant fat ring over it, which is okay. Some people like that. I particularly don't. I like to keep it pretty thin, because your seasoning and your smoke basically gets wasted on all this fat if it's too thick on top of the meat. So make a couple cuts and see what you're working with. When you start to see a little red, you know you're getting there. There you go. Just like that. Do the same thing right here. You can take your time, obviously. I'm a little sloppy with this because I'm a little bit nervous about doing the video for the first time. But once again, getting into that meat, especially up here on the point, it's not a big deal. That's all going to be covered with binder and rub anyways. And as you can see, that's what I was talking about. That's that fat you would have on top of your meat that you'd have to bite through, and I don't want to do that. Come over here. I like to get it off the cutting board just a bit so I can get on that edge. Give you a bite, Bubba. You want a bite too, Bear? Here you go, girl. Yeah, my hands are dirty, but once you're dirty, you stay dirty. Just don't go grabbing on everything. And it is beef. It's not like I'm messing with chicken or pork. Ooh. Oh man, that's soft. That's gonna be so good. There we go. That's what you're shooting for on the flat. I try to leave a good amount, for me, on the flat because it's so lean and I cook unwrapped. So that is how you protect the lean part of that brisket from burning up on you before the point finishes out. If I was in a hurry, dude, you could leave all this, honestly. You really could. I'm probably going to leave most of it, actually. Just going to kind of clean that up. That little piece right here. Oh, I didn't want to get into it like that. Yeah, this soft fat, man, we're just going to take that little strip, clean up this little burr right here, clean up this little burr, aerodynamic this dude out just a little bit right here. What we got? Yeah. And right here, we got a little good amount of fat. Oh, I got my thumb. Oh, shit. Alrighty, well, that about does it, honestly. I'm gonna take this little bit right here. Oh, I guess a knife sharper than I thought. Alrighty, well, that about does it, guys. I'm gonna get this brined up and, well, see you down the line.